is Sarah Moll coming to you with our segment, The Power to Vote. The 26th Amendment had some oppositions towards what it was meant to represent. The right to vote is the greatest right any U.S. citizen has. Specifically, giving the right to vote at a young age can ultimately change the government for the better or for the worse. With older generations stepping down from their positions of leadership, younger generations have the option of succeeding them. It is important that we elect the right luminaries to fill in these positions. The 26th Amendment is significant to us because it grants us the power to determine the future of our country, our laws, and our rights. Next, we'll go to Lizzie Chavez and Victoria Moore for a brief history on the 26th Amendment.
So what is the 26th Amendment? According to the Constitution, the 26th Amendment states that the right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of age. The movement to push the 26th Amendment truly began discussion in the 1940s when World War II was happening. Due to the war, President FDR lowered the age for military draft to 18 years old, which conceived the slogan, "Old enough to fight, old enough to vote." Additionally, President Dwight D. Eisenhower advocated for lowering the voting age. With the Vietnam War happening in the 1970s, many protests were happening back in the U.S. Young college students and other activists marched the streets of their cities and protested the minimum age for the right to vote. Many people were upset with the current situation in Vietnam, so the young citizens wanted to bring change to their government. According to constitutioncenter.org, a Senate report listed the three main reasons as to why it was important to pass legislation to give 18-year-olds the right to vote. The first reason was that most young citizens received high school education to some degree. The second reason was that 18-year-olds are treated like adults. The final reason was that younger voters should be given the chance to influence our society in a peaceful and constructive manner. Excluding 18-year-olds from the political process contributed to violent protests. There were resolutions and bills passed to extend the Voting Rights Act of 1965. But according to History.com, former President Richard Nixon wanted an amendment that would ratify the minimum age to vote. The act only allowed 18-year-olds only to vote for the president and vice president, but not in local or state elections. To sum up Oregon versus Mitchell, the Supreme Court was divided because half of the justices believed that Congress had the right to enforce that 18-year-olds should be able to vote in the state and local elections, while the other 4 justices believed that the states should determine their voter requirements. Finally, on March 10, 1971, the Senate unanimously voted to ratify the 26th Amendment. According to our brief history, those who supported the ratification of the 26th Amendment were Justices Black, Douglas, Brennan, and White, and former President Richard Nixon, and many young Americans.
Opposed to this amendment came an opposing side as well. A professor from the University of Florida named William Carlton said that those under 21 were immature, idealistic, and easily influenced, saying youngsters have not yet assimilated their educational experience, they have not yet discovered their true values and real interests, they have not yet fused their secondary experience with an actual worldly one, and until such fusion is made, vicarious experience is likely to remain experimental, tentative, and untrustworthy. To his support, an Attorney General from New Hampshire named Warren Rudman was more concerned with the power that would be given to these young voters. In his defense, Rudman stated that students lack practical knowledge of community affairs. It is unfair to have a town's future determined by a new group every 4 years. Another indirect opposition came from Harry Truman, who also thought it made more sense to raise the voting age to 25 rather than to lower it to 18.